Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. World War III seems to be looming, and this very well could be on U.S. soil, so we have to prepare. And how do we do that? Well, this video is going to show you 7 things you can do now to be ready for, well, an extreme catastrophe like this that could take place very soon. Number 1, invest in tactics. And I don't necessarily mean weapons that YouTube doesn't let us talk about specifically, but obviously having tactical training in those kind of weapons is advantageous. But even more so, just getting into shape, being physically fit to be ready for what's coming. And honestly, one of the best ways to do that is martial arts. Not only are you getting physically fit, but you're learning for yourself and for your family how to defend yourself. But discretionary warfare in tactics is vitally important because you want to make it look like you're going with the flow, but you want to be able to discretionally take care of things without government, without military, without police seeing what you're actually doing. This is a very typical thing. That's why there's always been undergrounds when it comes to wars. And learning those tactics, even just simply put, situational awareness, obviously is something you should master and practice all the time. Being the gray man, making it so you blend in to whatever situation presents itself, by the way, make it look like you belong there. Then lastly, train and drill, because you will never have things down, by the way, pat, unless you continuously train. You can say to yourself, oh, if this ever happens, this is what I'm going to do. That's what we do as humans, mankind, right? I'll just do that. No, you need to practice, because unless you practice, when the time comes, you'll completely freeze and you won't know what to do. Number 2, bug out plans. I've said it many, many times. You do not want to bug out unless your life is in danger. We set up our houses, we set up our places so we have food to stockpile, all those things. We don't want to leave. But if your life's in danger, you may have no choice but to get out. And in this case, although I'm not talking about like a wildfire that may take over your house, but I'm talking about the wildfire of war coming to our country. And bugging out may not simply be going to like some kind of farm somewhere, although you should have plans for that too, or somewhere in the mountains, possibly. I'm talking about possibly even having plans to bug out of the country. Because if this country does collapse, or even worse, because it collapsed and because the military collapses, it gets invaded, you need to find a place to go. And finding like a third world country, something that doesn't really spark the interest of a major player, like a major country invading, that might be what you actually want to do as well. So start doing the research now where you might go in that particular case, because this country in itself may become uninhabitable for multiple reasons. Number 3, loose lips sink ships. We just need to be completely quiet about our preps. I'm not saying you can't meet with someone and talk about preparedness, but don't tell what you have. Don't tell people about your preps. And I mean nobody. Don't tell everybody what your drills are. You don't want people to know your tactics and how you're going to get through these situations. And it's weird because when it comes to mankind, when we feel stressed about something, we like to talk about it. It makes us more relaxed. But don't do it. Don't give into that temptation. You need to make sure you prep and train and drill. And then with the exception of possibly incredibly close friends or incredibly close families who also prep, maybe talk to them about it. But don't give into that desire of wanting to tell people what's going on. You need to be completely quiet about this stuff and keep it to yourself. Number 4, your community. I'm talking about a local community, a community of very trusted people. And I mean very trusted, a close-knit circle is what you want to have. And you want to keep that community even on the down low. Because when we talk about things like these spy networks or the French underground or any type of underground railroads, etc., it's always going to be these communities that make things work without people officially knowing what's happening. It has to be regular local folks in this, not some kind of militia group, not some kind of even though authority figures and police can be part of this too, you want to make it as inconspicuous as absolutely possible, but you have to have that community. Because even though I'm a jack of all trades, I love everything, being a master of something is not what jack of all trades do. We're the master of none. And finding somebody who might be a doctor or a nurse or an EMT, or find somebody who can do auto mechanics for you, or this person over here knows how to do general maintenance on your house to fix a roof, because obviously you don't want your roof to cave in. So having all those things in your community set aside, not to mention if you do have to group into one area, you can stand watches and help each other out. Having a community is vital. And military will tell you this too, by the way, no man left behind, because you want to have it so your community, you can watch each other's back. I'm not saying there's advantages or not advantages to being the lone wolf. Sometimes there is. But having a community, in my opinion, far outweighs being that lone wolf. Number 5, communications. And if you have your community, you want to be able to communicate with that community. And obviously there's lots of ways to do that. Short distances, walkie-talkies work great. A little bit further than that, your CBs, we're talking about a few miles, works really well. Even further than that, obviously, ham radios. Go ahead and take your license now so you can prepare for it and practice and know how to use your ham radios. But understand that if it is the government ourselves coming into us trying to basically stop you from communicating, they can shut down your frequencies. You need to understand that. And having alternate methods, you can read old school methods, how it was done. Like, for example, in the Revolutionary War, the famous lady who actually hung up different colored laundry to let people know as far as military tactics. I'm not saying you need to be the laundry lady hanging up stuff, but you need to establish some kind of communication network now before the things happen. And basically at that point, you're going to be caught off guard. So get prepared with your communications. Number 6, diversify bartering items. And this is so important because fiat currencies, our good old green dollar, will crash. Money often crashes in major conflicts. So having other things around, I mean, obviously I talk about Alpine gold, linked below, buying GoldBacks. Gold and silver is always a good thing. Having silver coins you can look at. But even just the old adage of what? Booze, bullets, and beans. Having things that are absolutely useful to people is what you want to shoot for. Obviously you don't want to give away your beans, but if you need to have some more bullets or vice versa, having things that people want and desire when it comes to crapping in the fan is what you want to shoot for. So stockpiling hard assets now while you can is the way to go. And number 7, hold objects of value. So this goes along with the bartering items, having things that people really want to have as far as value goes. Understand that in the Great Depression, there's a lot of people who did very, very well. One of them was farmers, by the way, because the prices of food went so high. The farmers were literally sowing gold, and not a lot of people could afford the food, but they could eat, and not to mention they could sell their food, people could afford it. They were actually doing very well. It's funny how it's counterintuitive. Like today, we think that farmers will not do very well. Oh, the farmers did great. Anybody having the tangible assets, even investing in companies. Now, again, having bartering items, things people want is good. But even this, think about this. There's a lot of companies and factories and industries and corporations that do very well in wartime. I mean, even simply just munition manufacturers and such. And I mean, you may not want to get into it as far as like ethical reasons. I get that. But having something that government is really going to be pouring money into to support that war is something you could pour into as well. Even having your own business that supplies things like that. Think about it. Get some brainstorming done. But there's 7 things for you, by the way, that you can prepare for, I would say, the very probable upcoming World War III. Put in the comments below, what's something else you think we should do to prepare for this? Because unfortunately, these times are coming and we have to be prepared.